Welcome to episode 2 of the Wrestling Tonight podcast. I'm your host, Blake, back at it. Give you guys a quick update. Episode 1 went pretty good after figuring everything out, getting everything all uploaded. I'm sorry there was no SmackDown recap or NXT or 205. A lot of stuff came up. It was just very hard to sit down and be able to record, so this week, I'm really just gonna get into covering Raw and SmackDown because it's been some pretty big news going on. We'll start off with just we have a wild card rule, as Vince McMahon would call it. 3 people from Raw can show up on SmackDown, and 3 people from SmackDown can show up on Raw any given night. But he said 3 until Lars Sullivan showed up on late on Raw, and he quickly changed it to 4 because he didn't want to aggravate the nice big man. But it all started over the weekend. Roman Reigns saying he had unfinished business coming to show up on Raw. Which, okay, everyone has unfinished business. Which that's what makes this superstar shakeup so good. Is that we break people out of storylines right away and just switch everything up. It's like Liv Morgan, who's been missing on SmackDown last couple weeks since her move. You don't think she has unfinished business with the Riot Squad? He thinks she wants to stay with them? She probably does, of course. They let her do that on the live show circuit until everything was all figured out. But, anyways, I'm not going to dwindle on that too much right away. We'll talk about that later. Well, let's get into the Raw recap. So, Roman Reigns showed up, as he said he would, to kick off the show, coming out talking about he needs to finish some things with a certain person, meaning Drew McIntyre. Vince comes out, starts talking to everyone. But the crazy thing is that I seen shown up Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan returns from losing his title at WrestleMania to Kofi and comes out and addresses everyone talking about it. But who came down to interrupt Daniel Bryan? Kofi Kingston. The WWE champion of SmackDown decides to come and put his 2 cents in on Monday Night Raw. This is what led Vince to lead to this wild card rule, as he's calling it. So any given week, 4 Raw and 4 SmackDown Live members, I guess I already told you, can show up whenever they please. Which kind of just smacks the superstar shakeup right in the face. Like, it doesn't mean nothing. But, so, after this segment, Vince sets up 2 WrestleMania rematches. We're going to have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. When I first seen this, first thing that came in mind was I thought Daniel Bryan was going to stay on Raw, but apparently he's still a SmackDown Live member, and we'll cover that when we get to the SmackDown Live recap. So, the whole show, in all, was very just bland. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, after their altercation and the contract signing last week, they end up facing Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley. You don't have McIntyre. McIntyre's getting ready for his match with Reigns. So, Corbin and Lashley go out there, and as it looked like it was going to be ending with Rollins, AJ Styles hits the forearm and ends up catching Seth Rollins instead. So this is just going to end up adding more fuel to the fire for these two leading up to their Money in the Bank match. Baron Corbin rolls him up, gets the pin, and he continues to build momentum heading into Money in the Bank. Hopefully he doesn't have another blunder like he did last year, or not last year, a couple years ago, when he tried to cash in and Cena ended up costing him the title. So we move on from that. Sami Zayn is being Sami Zayn, coming in, stirring up the crowd, called them trash. But this one had a unique turn to it. Instead of him getting the last word and doing what he wants, Braun Strowman came out, chased him off, grabbed Sammy, found him, tossed him in a garbage can. Then the garbage can got tossed into the garbage truck, which after that Sammy was unheard of for the rest of the night. Which is good now, seeing Sammy and Braun finally have some stuff for him to start building up their match. I'm all for it. Sammy is a great in-ring performer, and you'll be pretty dumb to disagree with that. Braun Strowman is Braun Strowman. He's a real big guy, like, and he really has shown that he has that in-ring ability. And for someone his size, he can work the crowd heel or face, which is good. So, move on to some later matches. Lacey Evans hands out some handwritten invitations to her match tonight. She's facing a nice local competitor. She comes in, just destroys her. But she hands out some nice RSVP letters to Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Natalia, and Dana Brooke. All the women that are competing in the Money in the Bank for the women's side for Raw. So she comes in and shows them how to take care of business, and then all of a sudden she starts running her mouth after the match. Becky Lynch shows up, comes out, takes care of business. They both scurry off, nice little share of arms, and that's it. Like I said, this Raw really didn't have much. It was just really building up to Money in the Bank. Ricochet, Robert Roode are in a nice match. Ricochet comes out on top. Samoa Joe runs into Rey Mysterio's son Dominic in the backstage, which we thought, or personally I thought, Samoa Joe's gonna end up attacking Dominic. Which very good, he didn't. Dominic's still a kid. And he ends up just giving him a nice little chat, saying, hey, send this message to your daddy. I'm gonna take care of business of him. Money in the Bank, so don't pull another stunt like you did last week. The Viking Raiders show up again, who are just building momentum, which looks like it can be leading to a Money in the Bank match between them and the current champions, Hawkins and Ryder. They just really just squashed them. They made the Rock Tag Team Champions look like they're nothing anymore, which they really are. But yeah, it was just a quick match. Took care of business. People were still upset about the name, but hey, what can you do at this point? You support the guys on their in-ring ability, not just because there's some goofs out there. Viking Raiders, War Raiders, War Machine, the Viking Experience, whatever you want to call them. They are two of the best tag team wrestlers in this business, and they really deserve the respect because they go out there and just give it their all every time they're in the ring. Now, the Revival and the Usos. Two more Raw tag teams, newly acquired Usos. They have been harassing the Revival last couple weeks. Last week was the back shaving. Now this week it's called Usiha, which I really didn't know what to think of this segment. I kind of just like skimmed past it. But I guess they ended up giving this to the Revival or swapping out something with them. And it's basically just they end up putting Icy Hot on themselves in all their private areas they're growing. And it's just very strange to watch two guys like Dawson and Wilder just do this to themselves. I really didn't know what to think of it. Like I said, it was just very odd. Hopefully these two lead to a match at Money in the Bank. Hopefully the Revival get the upper hand, which they deserve. But we'll see when that comes. And like I said, Lars Sullivan shows up backstage. Uh, ends up just murdering No Way Jose, which leads to Vince McMahon saying, "Hey, okay, we'll make a exception to the rule. We'll make it 4 instead of 3." So let's get into the 2 main events tonight. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, which really was one of the best matches of the night. Regarding everything that went on this show, McIntyre Reigns faced off at WrestleMania. They're really going back and forth, which made you believe that McIntyre was going to get the upper hand because he was the Raw star. He's the one that they want to build. They want to see him the next champion, basically. So yeah, those two go at it for a nice little minute. Then match ends in a DQ. Shane McMahon shows up, starts attacking Roman Reigns, and just starts beating him. Elias shows up as well and starts helping Shane. And as they're both jumping Roman, The Miz comes running out because he's a Raw star now. He starts fighting Shane. He starts running after him. Shane ducks, runs to the back, and starts hiding. And as they're backstage, he's hiding, which something that just made me laugh about it was the Charlie Caruso somehow found Shane and starts trying to interview him. And as Shane's running from the Miz, he kind of starts talking to her. Then he runs to get into his limo. And as he's about to get into his limo, the Miz comes back, hits him with the nice chair shot, and then kind of lead to the Miz getting the upper hand again, and then Shane hitting him with a low blow, hurry up and scurry out of the limo and get out of the arena. But I'm really glad to see this side of the Miz start building finally. He deserves it. He's a very strong character. He gives everything he has every time he's out there. And to see him go up with Shane, which a lot of people believe is just giving everything. He's worked and earned, so he's a hard person to put away. Real life wrestling, whatever it is, like that's a tough man right there, and he's gonna make the Miz work and earn to get over in this rivalry. So before we get to the main event, we're introduced to the Firefly Funhouse again. Bray Wyatt, who's been hanging out here the last couple weeks with his little fur buddies, kind of took an interesting turn this week. Bray was very, very positive on his new gimmick, his new life, hanging out with Abby the Witch, Mercy the Buzzard, and Rambling Rabbit. Shows him talking, but then Mercy the Buzzard is over to the side and is just ripping apart Rambling Rabbit. Which he comes up, he starts talking, and you just hear the old Bray Wyatt and Mercy the Buzzard talking. And he's going on how he despised the Rambling Rabbit for trying to force these bohemian worldviews and ideologies onto Mercy. Considering what many people believe was Rambling Rabbit's illusion of the old Bray Wyatt was just, I'm going to express what I believe onto you and you're going to listen. So, a lot of people took this situation as the rabbit being dead and Buzzard doing what Buzzard do and just feed on the dead. Which is an interesting theory. I never sat down and thought about that until now, talking to you guys, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, so as that happens, we start moving on, and Bray has just a whole bunch of kids sitting on the floor. And I'm saying there's probably about 10 kids. They're all sitting there with the face just straight as can be, just a blank face. Like not no laughing, no smiling. Just they look unhappy to be there. They look like they are under some kind of spell. Which this is where it starts to get good. And I'm all for this Bray Wyatt. So he has his sheep following him, as you call it, his wave, his buzzers, just follow me. And they're just sitting there, blank face, like just like kind of under his spell. And now as we lead to Money in the Bank, like this is where his character really starts to build here, and I'm getting real excited for this Bray Wyatt. I missed him. He's kind of been that dark entity that we needed, and man, like, is this gonna get good? Okay, so getting to the main event now. We had Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship, and man, if you thought they can get any better than their WrestleMania match, they did. They went back and forth in this, and Daniel Bryan really made Kofi earn this. It was just hard hitting back and forth. Kofi is the man right now. Kofi's on fire, and he retains the WWE Championship. So looking at this Raw, like I said, it really wasn't anything special. We're just building towards Money in the Bank now. Besides McIntyre really losing DQ, which it was really he's gonna end up losing to the spear. Everyone else they want to build is looking good. Your tag champs took a really demoralizing loss to the Viking Raiders. So we can see next week them setting up a challenge leading to Money in the Bank for the titles. Strowman and Zayn look like they could be leading there. Ricochet, McIntyre, Corbin, Lashley, all them looking pretty good again. Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch on the Raw side. None of the women really got into a match. They just had that segment with Lynch and Evans standing on the side. And yeah, that's all in all for Raw. Moving into SmackDown now. So we're coming off of being introduced to the wild card rule. AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, kicks off SmackDown, coming back to the house that he built. Crowd's really loving him, and he's just building it up. But as he interrupts, or as he gets interrupted, Sami Zayn is the one to do that. Sami Zayn comes out and starts heckling everyone, starts letting them know how he feels. So as we have Zayn and Styles going back and forth in the ring, Kofi Kingston comes up, interrupts both of them, says, "Hey, this is my show now. So hey, what are you guys doing here? Like, what's going on?" He ends up taking on both challengers, a triple threat match. Again, defending his title back-to-back nights in two big matches, leading up to the main event for tonight's show. So Styles, Zayn, Kingston. Man, like 2 nights in a row, we're getting a good WWE title match. Kind of wondering where Seth Rollins is in all this. Why isn't he defending his title? Like, is he the higher up in this? So, for that main event, we'll get to that later. We'll start off somewhere good. Shane showing up again. And he wanted to hand the new SmackDown Live titles to a new tag team. Last week, the Hardys had vacated their titles due to injuries. Lars Sullivan been attacking them last couple weeks. You see that lead on in the show, but so Shane comes out and he has titles. He wants to give them to Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan. So as he's giving them to them, as we're in the wild card rule now, the team that carried the SmackDown tag team division the last couple of years come, the Usos. Usos show up. They said, "Hey, we did this for so long, and we have the wild card rule now, and you're just gonna hand them to them. You're not gonna make them earn it." Which what we're leading up to was almost the tag team gauntlet. So, anyways, we get on to that. Usos versus Bryan and Rowan. We got to make them earn it. Those two really went back and forth. Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan come out on top against the Usos. They're your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And now you're really wondering who's going to lead the challenge. They run into a backstage segment with Heavy Machinery, Tucker, and Otis. Tell them to keep your eyes out for this, and they're going to be coming for you soon. But as Shane is about to leave, The Miz shows up. Miz starts attacking them again. So The Miz is fighting Shane. Shane somehow gets called the B team. Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas come out, start beating up their former boss, The Miz, to help Shane out. So, as we're really building this Shane and Miz stuff for the second time around, probably they're in their steel cage match at Money in the Bank. It's kind of leave like, what else do we have on there? Andrade and Ali, two new names. Two I really do not like name wise. Mustafa Ali really should have kept his name. It's not that hard to say. Everyone likes him. It's very easy to work. Andrade Cien Almas. I really like his name too. It's unique. You don't have no one like that in all of WWE with authentic name. So they go out in the match. Ends up getting interfered with Randy Orton. Orton comes out, RKO's everyone. Typical Randy Orton here, coming out, doing business, leaving. There really isn't much more with this show. It was wasn't interesting at all. Raw and SmackDown really took a hit this week, but Lars comes out, starts beating up Matt Hardy, R-Truth, and just takes care of business, like being a bully. Matt Hardy had to give up the titles because his brother's hurt. R-Truth has been in Lars Sullivan's view the last couple of weeks. He's just been taking them out. So those two try to team up and didn't work out for him. Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, they get a win over Carmella and Ember Moon, which leads to Paige coming out at the end of the match saying Rose and Deville will be facing Asuka and Kairi Sane next week. And besides for the main event, we had Finn come out, say, hey, I'm over here hanging out with my family back home in Ireland. And at Money in the Bank, I plan on winning and carrying both the Intercontinental and WWE Championship. We're slowly building Aleister Black back as NXT's Aleister Black, the demonic, just very sinister. Hopefully he gets into some action soon. So then we lead to the main event. Triple threat match, WWE Championship match. Two Raw superstars against SmackDown champion. Really good match. Really great in-ring performers out of these three guys. And as you'll all expect, Kevin Owens comes in, interferes in the match. Kevin Owens turned on Kofi last week, super kicking him, attacking Xavier Woods, and he really did play a role in this match. So, going on with the main event, Kevin Owens comes down, attacks Xavier Woods, which, with him and Sami Zayn as their history together, which really thought it would lead to Sami picking up the match. So, distraction happens. Sami almost gets the win over Kofi. However, the champion kicks out, ends up pulling it off, winning the match. So, Owens is coming out distracting Kofi. which really is real building to their match. Gonna happen at Money in the Bank. He wants the title. Kofi is just hot and running on this just steamroll he's been on over everyone. And he's just focused as can be. This is the best we've ever seen him. So we sit down, go over that. He just really was it. Like I said, this Raw SmackDown just wasn't much here. There really wasn't a lot to build off of. We're just leading the Money in the Bank, and that's really it. The Revival are stuck in a terrible spot right now. They need to start building themselves. They need to get out of this slump they're in with the Usos. They got to start picking some wins up and get the titles back, which they had. Finn Balor hopefully comes back next week. Starts tearing up like he always does. But yeah, there really isn't much going on right now. Outside of Raw and SmackDown, Kushida made his debut last week in NXT, which was highly anticipated. I'm excited to sit down and watch him. I wasn't able to watch him enough in New Japan, but I know the name he is. He's very good. NXT this week we get Matt Riddle, Adam Cole. I'm really big on Undisputed Era. I enjoy all four of them, all their in-ring work, their promos, everything they have. Matt Riddle is a very rising star. His stoner gimmick is really getting over with me, but he has this switch which many they try to do with cross athletes. He turns it up in ring, which we saw at Takeover against the Velveteen Dream, and he just demolished Dream. He made him look like he was nothing, and it was kind of amazing to watch someone that good, who is still new to this business, just take over. So I realized last week I didn't get my Twitter or my Instagram in so you guys can follow me. But for the Wrestling Tonight podcast, the Twitter for it is at WT underscore podcast underscore. It wouldn't let me type in Wrestling Tonight. It was too long for it. So Twitter is at WT underscore podcast underscore. For my Instagram, it is just Wrestling Tonight podcast. Just all one word. Just type that in, it'll pop up. These will still be going on YouTube for probably the next couple months or so, as I figure out everything to get them to Apple Podcasts. But yeah, that's really it for all I have. I'm still learning this. I'm still trying to figure everything out for us. But tell me what you guys want. I know I said I'll cover NXT 205 Live, but for me it's hard to sit down and do multiple podcasts in the same week. That's why combining Raw and SmackDown is very easy, because unless something crazy happens on the show and to sit down and talk about it, which I can have time to do that during this, because they're just back-to-back nights, so it's easier to sit down and wake up Wednesday and formulate all my thoughts I need to do. For NXT 205, they're hour shows, so I can sit down and do like a quick podcast on them, or I kind of just summarize them and toss them in like, hey, that happened last week, this is what's coming up this week type stuff. It's up to you guys. You tell me what you want, and I'll help deliver. But yeah, this is gonna be episode 2 finally, long awaited. I know it's taken forever for it, but I'm finally here doing it. So yeah, my name is Blake. Episode 2, we're done.